Trying to make sure we can go live over on Instagram because this is a big one. So the dollar is crashing in certain African markets, and I'm going to talk to you about this a little bit more. But in the last few years, real estate prices on the continent of Africa in the hottest cities that I've shared with you have doubled since 2018. Those who moved early, they're now up 40% to 100% in earning. Meanwhile, those who waited are paying the price. If you're seeing the news around the Ghana CD price increasing overnight, literally nearly 40% against the dollar, you would have saved 40% if you waited, or you would have saved 40% had you not waited, right, until today. So I'm going to break down exactly where the smart money is going in Africa and how you can get in now before the next price surge, even if you're not on the continent. Okay, so in this session, you're going to learn land versus property and what's smarter and where. The top red flags and the top red flags that do trip up investors, okay, and how to vet deals and avoid scams, which is what we are all afraid of, even if you're abroad and not currently on the continent of Africa. I'm going to share a few strategies on how you can flip, right, build or hold real estate for the maximum ROI. So imagine owning a beachfront villa in one of my favorite places, Zanzibar, Tanzania, or flipping land right here in South Africa, or building a small apartment complex in Nairobi, all with vetted teams, airtight contracts, and steady rental income coming in, okay? If you've been burned in the past, or you're frozen by fear or confusion, if you feel stuck because you don't know exactly where to start or who to trust, this video is for you. Welcome to the channel. Welcome to the feed. If you're new, are we live on Instagram yet? Let's see. Okay, yep, we're live on Instagram. Welcome. If you're new, I'm Ashley. On my channel, Ashley in Africa, I share my experience of doing business here on the continent of Africa. I help people diversify their real estate and financial investments the way that smart money does in Africa, strategically, legally, and with the right partners on the ground. And on this platform, we discuss global strategy, global investment strategy. We are living in a global world, and we help investors access vetted opportunities in different African markets, right? Spanning real estate, business acquisition, minerals, tourism, and more. And so if this type of content resonates with you or you're interested in learning more, be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share this with someone who would find value in it. The news is out, and the cost of living is only going up, right? But the dollar across different African countries and cities is declining in value. So I was just going to be cozy on a Saturday night here in my home with my daughter, and I was watching a clip from, what is this family that I love? Ghana. Expat Life Ghana, and they were talking about how the dollar is now crashing in Accra or in Ghana, where it used to be last week, it was 16 to 1. Now it's 10 to 1. What does this mean? Well, this means that if last week you had a property deal and you were negotiated for $100,000, right? Let's just keep it clean. This week, you will now have to pay $140,000 because of the change that has happened so rapidly. This is something that we've been talking about for years, right? Because I think people believe that we have all of the time in the world to jump on the things we know we need to take action on. And so that article or that video sparked me to jump on today and talk about real estate, because it's one of the major things that we discuss in the Africa Investors Academy. But you don't have to take my word for it. You can absolutely hear about this from our members inside of the Academy. We talk about timelines. We talk about visa assistance, long-term residency, how to make sure you secure that legally and strategically, investment strategies, a supportive community, because our community is so lit. What's the biggest takeaway that you've gotten since being in the community?
For me, being in this group and consistently hearing the success stories, consistently seeing people that are going to support us along the way in any aspect of what we're trying to do, has been very helpful and the biggest takeaway for me to get to those goals of success.
I don't know about others, but when you're going to another country, you need that guidance, you need those relationships, you need that fellowship, and you need the positive encouragement and suggestions that just help you navigate those things.
Just having that resource and not having to just try to figure it out yourself and just randomly find somebody, off of the internet and hope that, they're going to do what they say they're going to do. That's invaluable.
Having the community of expertise and resources, because what we are all facing is it's unprecedented. So it's normal and understandable if you're still anxious or unsure. But I would say that this community of people led by Ashley has been such a center stone of resources for you to ask questions, for you to get vetted information, the experts, so that you really have the best information for you to make your decisions.
A lot of people are very anxious, and not to say that it's unwarranted, but I haven't really been experiencing that anxiety because I'm so connected with this community that it has kept me razor focused on what the end goal is.
There are several opportunities that are being posted and talked about that are in the Academy. Some are real estate, some are business opportunities, things you can actually look at in real time and keep abreast, because you got to keep in mind that the things that we're hearing on regular YouTube or whatever venue you use to get your news from is completely different once you have somebody to kind of filter through all the nonsense.
Everybody in here is taking action, making moves, and this is what I envisioned when we started this community. You all are really about that life as investors.
I've fostered some great relationships within the Academy.
But the summits that she provides in the group as well, these are groups with different leadership in their own subject matter experts. They come and provide different information to us, so they're well vetted. We could connect with them after the summit. Then also the group coaching calls where we connect with other members and we encourage each other.
We are not only talking about what's happening, but we're talking about what we're doing about it.
Getting over that mental hump, like, can I really do this? Or is it possible? What would my family think? Or any other things that I might have that could hold me back. Being in this group has helped me go forward and saying, okay, I could do this, and being encouraged to do so.
So it's not just the relocation, the migration. Everyone here is putting their money where their mouth is to invest and do business.
I got me a bank account set up in South Africa as well. So there's a lot of things that you may not be able to find that information online or just in general going through different videos. So it's always good to have that group setting.
Because my family has enjoyed every bit of the process. And I think I'm getting that same energy and that same high, enjoying everything I'm learning inside the Academy.
You can only get so much for free, right? So you do have to make an investment to get the good stuff. And I would just encourage you, if it's something you've been considering, to try it and see it for yourself. I don't think I have, any regrets. And I would certainly encourage you to do it sooner rather than later so that you can get the best information for you and your family.
Just do it. The dollar amount, and not to be in anybody's pocket, because I know everybody's situation is different, but the investment is going to pay dividends. It really is, because it really personally has transformed my life.
All right, y'all, so let's dive in. In this video, we're talking about why, even though the dollar is crashing outside of the US, There are some places where you can still access the high earnings of real estate potential here on the continent of Africa. Listen, like, you know, Ghana has been a hotspot for the diaspora for the last few years, since 2018. And people that purchased in 2018 are seeing returns of 40 to 100%. I want you to think about that. I want you to think about, instead of thinking about the costs of what it means to invest on the continent. And yes, we don't want to make mistakes. No, we don't want to be scammed. No, we don't want to lose out on hundreds of thousands of dollars. But if you've waited, you've already lost out. And so if Ghana was one of your destinations, you've essentially priced yourself out. If you were looking at going in under 100K, right? That's not even available now. And so while the conversation around will there be opportunity in Africa? Yes, there will continue to be opportunity in the fastest growing economy, the fastest growing continent in the world. There's going to be opportunities for decades to come. The question is, will you be able to afford it? While prices and cost of living are increasing in your home country, you still have an opportunity to arbitrage your currency abroad. But in some places, the fact is you are being counted out. And so the truth is, if you have a desire and you want to take action, you need to be taking action now, or at least putting yourself in a position so that you get the right information, the right encouragement to be able to do that. All right. Let me see. I see you guys have some questions in the comments. Fantastic. Oh, thank you, Peaceful. Yeah, I mean, listen, everybody's got challenges, right? Those challenges aren't going to go away. And in fact, while you're sitting, you're probably going to get more challenges, right? I think what people don't recognize is a lot of times our challenges, especially as melanated people, come from the environments that we're in. We're fighting against a system that has said openly, explicitly, blatantly, historically, it is not for your benefit. It does not care for you. It does not desire to see you well, desire to see you in your abundance, right? And so the longer we stick in those opportunities, in those environments, we will continue to experience the weight and the spiritual decline, right, of our own peace, of our own abundance, of our own heart's desires, because we're just in environments that aren't meant for us to win. All right. And so I'm not saying it's easy, and I'm not saying it's for everyone. What I'm saying is it's possible. And the fact is that when we're counting these costs, the costs of waiting are actually costing us more than the cost of taking action in our present moment. But let's just get to some data points, right? Let's talk about things through data, okay? How to avoid said common pitfalls. Okay, so poor documentation and land disputes do remain the number one risk. Professional due diligence is a non-negotiable. So one of our clients that we just onboarded this past week is going into their due diligence session. They're planning to come to South Africa next month. Before they even get here, this will be their first trip. They're going through a complete due diligence process so that they understand the law, the legal regulation. They're going to understand their financial strength here, what they will qualify for as foreigners, because here in South Africa, foreigners do qualify for funding for properties, right? Mortgages, bonds, given their financial stability, right? Given the fact that they have income, but due diligence on the properties that they are interested in, whether they're income earning, whether they're dream properties, forever homes, or builds, we do the due diligence for them starting day one. And this is a non-negotiable. So sending money to someone that you met on the internet is not advisable. Going through a due diligence process to ensure that your goals and the things that you desire to see in your investment portfolio are paid attention to. And these are the things that you have to do. I've got my notes here, which is why I'm looking down. So also avoid relying solely on informal networks, family and friends, WhatsApp groups, and YouTubers, right? Use verified agents and legal counsel. This is why we have attorneys every corner of our business. It always makes sense to have a legal partner when you're doing business, when you're traveling, when you're investing in a foreign country. Okay, avoid that. We had a client who was going to send money, almost $200,000 to a friend to purchase land on their behalf. That's a no-no. Don't do that. I don't care if you're afraid that the dollar is going to completely crash tomorrow. Do not do that. As long as you transfer your money legally through a proper structure and system, based on when you transfer that funds that's when you lock in the currency rate. Okay, so absolutely do it the legal way, do it the proper way. And every country has different laws. So for example, land tenure laws in Tanzania versus Ghana can impact ownership structures. Know before you buy. Owning land, owning property, owning real estate in every African country is different than the other. None of the countries operate the same. There are some similarities, but you absolutely need to know that things are different, especially they're very different from where you're coming from. And there are some markets that you may have never even considered, right? I'm not saying that these markets are more affordable or less affordable. What I am saying, these are some of the markets that now that maybe your desired destination, Ghana, is completely out of your price range. If you're looking for long-term investment or you're looking for short-term returns, you can look into some hot spots that maybe you didn't consider before, right? So Kinshasa, the DRC, which is in Congo, and I know despite what is in the media and the political concerns, Kinshasa is one of the fastest growing cities by population with over 17 million people and climbing. Demand for mid-range housing is skyrocketing because business is being done in the DRC, especially among the middle class and diaspora returning with capital. Now, the DRC has some of the most expensive real estate that I've seen in Central Africa, really all over the continent. But because of the large mineral wealth, that is driving infrastructure and foreign interest. Gated communities and retail complexes are rising in affluent areas like Gombe. So hopefully you guys will get to see us doing some content in the DRC this year because we're heading into that space. So our clients are they're getting access to some of these opportunities that I myself am learning about and that I'm also sharing with the community. So it's one of the places that you might have not considered because of all of the negative media that you've heard about. But let's just consider, how many of you heard negative media about the continent as a whole 5 years ago, 10 years ago even? The African continent was a place destitute with poverty, with crime, with wars, with, pot-bellied babies in the jungle, right? This is what we were told even 10 years ago. And some people are still even believed to be true today. So I want you to consider that what you believe you know about a country in its entirety, which Congo is a massive country, the entire country is not experiencing what we're seeing in the news. However, what we are seeing in the news is horrific, and I don't want to underplay that. But what I'm saying is Africa will never be free from war, from pillaging, until we invest in it and we create the economy that is available, instead of allowing foreign investment to completely take over and create the policy that keeps these countries and these places underdeveloped and scrutinized by war because it benefits them. Okay, so we have to be considering different opportunities outside of our immediate environment and the things that make us comfortable if we want to see the unification of this continent that our leadership is putting forward, right? So what's beautiful is we've already got leaders standing up and saying no more. And that is one of the reasons why the Ghana CD surged in price, because they are retaining their gold manufacturing as gold prices skyrocket. They've already committed to manufacturing and refining their own cocoa. The Western influence is becoming lesser and lesser influential. And because of that, we're going to continue to see the decline in the dollar power. And if you are interested in making your move, don't wait until you are priced out because you believe that there's a time better than now. All right. So let me jump into the questions. Let me see if you guys have any questions. Thanks, Wisdom, for being here. Hi, Mimi. Welcome. Oh, you guys are active in the chat. Okay, let me hop into the questions. Okay. And Alan says, Ashley, this has happened to me. Let me just zoom in because I've got a couple cameras here. This has happened to me. I put $5,800 down on a $21,000 tiny home in Ghana. My next payment was supposed to be in June. Now I owe more than the initial price. My name is Ashley, by the way. Oh, Ashley. Okay. So Ashley and Alan is giving us a real life example that she put money down, right? And now she owes way more than the initial price, right? I'm sure it won't stop her, but I'm sure it wasn't what she was financially expecting, right? And all of this means, guys, is that your dollar, and I keep saying this, it is not going to continue to have the power it does. You're already feeling it in your home country. You're already feeling it in the US. Prices of everything is going to skyrocket. So take advantage of the opportunity that you have now while your currency is still strong in some countries so that you can build your portfolio while it's still strong. So I know that people have questions of like, oh, well, what about you? You're earning in dollars. Yes. And I'm earning in Tanzanian shilling and I'm earning in South African rand. Because I know that long term, the dollar is not going to sustain a life here. And how am I doing that? By investing in businesses and investing in opportunities, lands, real estate, and businesses here on the continent. Slowly, but intentionally, with on the ground support. All right. So yeah, I mean, that's a real life example. Okay. Any questions? Any more questions? Thank you so much. I'm glad that you're finding this valuable. How are the likes? I hope we've got at least 30 likes. We've got 30 of y'all in the room. Let me know if you guys have questions about anything. You know, this is something that I wasn't expecting for sure, but none of us know when the things are going to happen. We just know they're going to happen. So we're managing ourselves in the process. And, you know, the worst thing we can do is believe that, it's not like it's not going to happen and we have all of the time in the world, but we do our best. And I'm so happy that we're getting our clients in motion, right? So the folks that have joined our academy last year are just now starting to see the benefits, right, of doing it. This is not a get rich quick process. This is not an easy process. This is a long process that takes time, which is why we don't take a lot of people into the academy. It's why we close the academy at certain points so that we can work with people intentionally and help them reach their goals in a shorter period of time that they ultimately hoped for, because we all feel it, right? If you feel the change happening, you're seeing the shift happen, type a 1 in the chat. And if you're feeling the shift happen, I want to know from you personally, what's holding you back? What are you afraid of that is making your decision hard to take action on your goal? Why haven't you decided to take your trip? Why haven't you decided to set up a strategy call? Why haven't you decided to invest in doing the thing that you desire, that God has told you you need to do, right? And those are for the people that say that because they talk about the Creator calling them. And if that's the case, then tell me what's the thing that's keeping you, right? What is the fear that is keeping you from taking action? All right, one of the other markets that I do talk about, maybe you haven't considered it, Cape Town, South Africa. That's where I currently live, right? And this was a strategic move because the luxury market is booming here in Cape Town, even amid the global uncertainty and the so-called Trump's lie of a genocide, right? Because the West, people in the West, if you have acquired wealth, meaning you've acquired over $3 million in assets, based on the cost, based on the inflation rise and the unsettled people, the population being so divided, you are going to feel it more than anyone else. And so those people have already left the US, right? I did a video a couple months ago with a nomad capitalist who left the US over 20 years ago, right? Was it 20 years ago? No, over 10 years ago. They're already leaving. They already have their money offshore. They already see where the tide is going because they're financially astute, right? They've been investing for years. They've gotten wealth and they didn't get there kind of standing on the sidelines, paying attention to media, allowing themselves to be consumed by fear. No, they've already taken action. And so for folks that have built wealth in Western nations, they are moving abroad, and they have to, because the more price increases in these economies, the more wealth gap you're going to see, and the more affluent people are going to be tagged with the bill. Okay. And so I'm not saying that I believe that everybody should pay their fair share, but when the government isn't investing back in the schools, isn't investing in the safety of the children, isn't investing in the infrastructure, where you've got poisonous air, poisonous water, sewage is rampant. The government isn't doing what they're meant to do with that capital. And that's why wealthy people are leaving, because they don't believe that they should be paying taxes in a nation that isn't doing its due diligence for its citizens. Okay. And so they are moving to cities like Cape Town, South Africa. They are moving to cities like Accra, Ghana. They are moving to cities like Nairobi, Kenya, and to Zanzibar, right? Mauritius. They're moving there because they can own property, prime property, at 20 to 40% of a discount compared to the US or UK prices. So I was looking at a comparable property here in Cape Town that's going for about, I think it's 13 million Rand. Easily, this property would be, let's see what that is, 13 million. It's about $722,000. This property with the same type of view in, say, a Malibu, California, would easily be $27 million, right? Because I was doing the comparison. $27 million compared to $722,000. It is why we are seeing a housing issue, right? I'm not saying that this is not an issue, but what I'm saying is these things have always happened. Property prices have always increased. If we look at historic real estate, regardless of where we are in the world, developing countries, as they develop, attract higher skilled talent, attract people bringing in businesses that have access to capital and intellectual capital to create more capital. Your time is of the essence, right? Time is of the essence. And what we're seeing is people getting real estate properties at 20 to 40% of the price because they're using the first mover advantage. All right. So some of the top Airbnb yields in Africa are in Cape Town, South Africa, especially in cities or areas like Sea Point, Camps Bay, and Observatory, which is where I was today when I was getting my hair done. All right. And then one place that, you know, we all have heard of, maybe you've heard of it on this channel, Durban, South Africa, the Real South Africa Travel and Tourism. They are a partner of the channel. They're actually hosting with myself a trip to Johannesburg in September, right? You want to come to that. September 1st through the 10th in Johannesburg. They're hosting a real estate tour next month in Durban. Right? And Durban is becoming quietly the logistics and ecotourism hub, right? With port upgrades and major hospitality investments, all right? And so Durban is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful region in South Africa. The weather is always pretty amazing, and it's green, and the cultural hub of the Zulu kingdom is there, and it's one of the bonuses that attracts tourists and business people alike to Durban. So affordable land still exists that's oceanfront, near up and coming coastal corridors. Student housing and short-term rentals are seeing a strong seasonal demand. And the Indian Ocean beaches are drawing the global attention, right? So if you're attending that real estate tour, consider yourself in luck. Get ready to see some amazing properties and come with your offers ready, right? But make sure you do your due diligence, because yes, the properties are available to you, and so is the due diligence, right? If you work with a trusted advisory team on the ground to get you the best price and the best contract that's in your benefit. All right. And so if you want to join us for sure in September, the link will also be in the description below. And then the last market, which is definitely not the least, and hopefully you'll also see us there this year, Mauritius. Mauritius has been a global destination for the wealthy for decades, like probably centuries. It's one of the easiest countries for foreigners to buy property legally. They are very business friendly, and they are they have beautiful tax incentives. There is no capital gains tax in Mauritius, which is why Mauritius has positioned itself essentially as Africa's Singapore. The political stability, the luxury resort living, draws in strong expat investors because of that community and the ease of investing and doing business. So it is one of the easiest places to buy land as a foreigner, and the government is making it so that it is encouraging foreign real estate investment through their property development schemes, because they are interested in attracting high quality talent and high value investors into their ecosystem. So, while the dollar still has strong purchasing power in some of these markets that I mentioned, that window is closing. This will not last forever. In places like South Africa and the DRC, Mauritius, where local currencies are strengthening, you're already losing 10 to 20% by waiting. All right. We've already seen the rand increase in power ever since this kind of squabble between presidents. And this is a sign of the times, right? We knew that this was going to happen, and it will continue to tighten. The window will continue to tighten and close. And so you want to be in a position to take advantage of your best position now, not only from a financial perspective, but from a legacy perspective, because the truth is, the continent of Africa is not waiting for the diaspora to return, but they yearn for our return. They're not just interested in our capital, right? While the country itself, the country see you as an investor, and you must bring value to their economy. And that's period. But the people see us as lost children, so to speak, motherless children, and they desire for us to return home responsibly, right? We need to do so responsibly, but we can't continue to let fear be our guide. Okay. And so, these are the things that we talk about. We teach specifically how to do that, because I know, and I get it, the same things, the same mistakes and pitfalls that I made. I tried to do my best in creating systems so that other people didn't have those problems. And I love when I get feedback from our members, and they're so grateful that I've introduced them to a real estate attorney, and they're so grateful that I introduced them to a tax expert that's managing and mitigating their tax liability in the US while they're doing business. And they're so grateful that I was able to introduce them to someone to help them access capital in their home country to bring and invest here on the continent, tripling their investment potential because they were able to gain access to it in the US and then invest it accordingly in an African market. right? Those are the things and those are the reasons why I keep doing what I'm doing. And I keep inviting you guys into the academy because the window is closing, right? And I don't really care if you do it because I'm already here and I'm already doing it. And the window of me sharing this type of information and these opportunities is also closing as our membership starts to have more needs and we start to go into different markets and we start to go into bigger projects because we've already got a community of people with capital ready to go. And so before the doors close, I think today I definitely want to answer some of your questions so that I can help you make a decision. Is this right for you? Because it might not be right for you. You may not be able to do the work that it takes to push past the fear, to push past the anxiety, right? To recognize that putting yourself first and your legacy first is something that you have been called to do. Maybe you weren't, right? And so that's what I hope to achieve with you today on this Saturday evening, because after this, we're having a movie night. And you know, we're going to sleep early so we can do some things tomorrow. So I see you guys saying, you know, number one, so you're feeling it, you're feeling the change is happening. No one answered the question though. Change is a constant process of doing the same things over and over, but always better to get to your financial successful quality of healthy life. All right. You're welcome, Suns 360. Yeah, I'm wondering, you guys say you're feeling it, and I'm just so interested to know what are your questions, right? What questions do you have? If you're over on Instagram, come join us on YouTube. I'm dropping the link if you guys want to join me in the live. If you're finding this value, be sure to like it. Also, drop a super chat to show me that you appreciate the content. That's always nice. I would really, really appreciate any contributions. But the best and most free thing you can do is hit the like button and then share this live with somebody that you know has been wanting to invest. If you haven't seen the news and the update about the dollar crashing in the African market of Ghana, right? And then we also saw a couple of weeks ago, Tanzania banned the transactions of dollars in their country, right? Someone in the comments was like, oh, is this true? You know, you can go to Tanzania and you can exchange your dollar for the currency. You can even use a card, and most of your cards will automatically transfer in from US dollar to Tanzania shilling. But today, you can no longer be charged in dollars. You will only be charged in Tanzania shilling. And if a place isn't doing that, they are basically breaking the law, because this has become a national policy that the president has proudly shared is what is going to take Tanzania into the future. And so this is a great thing for the continent. It isn't the easiest thing for us living here, but we all, whoever is here, knew that this was coming. And so hopefully we've all been making adjustments. I know that I have. Thank you so much, Wisdom. Kink Rain says, moving to developing countries is the best move to preserve wealth and build businesses that provide services those countries need to continue to grow. Absolutely. I 1000% agree. Nubian Queen Nation, I'm so happy you were able to join us. Yeah, I don't know, Wisdom. I'm not sure if this is true. That is our hope, right? But I'm not sure. Africa is not waiting on the diaspora, because the diaspora is finding a lot of reasons why they are staying put, and that's also okay. But the development that I'm seeing happening is not coming from the diaspora as a whole. Yes, the diaspora is returning increasingly, and that's what we're supporting. But ultimately, the development of this continent will happen with or without the diaspora. The question is the diaspora going to participate? Tamara says, your hesitation comes from not knowing who to trust and not being on the continent. Okay, Tamara, that's a realistic hesitation, right? So have you had a conversation with someone that is on the continent yet? Have you identified any strategic partners that you feel like you can trust? Have you invested in that process to interview people that have been bringing content or information to you so that you can develop a level of trust? But that's a good point. Really good point. Thank you, Wisdom. Please get the likes up. Jean Roy Toussaint is so right. Africa craves for its children now, above all those of you who reside in the U.S. Oh, you said what held you back? You were still wasting money. You don't have a big savings, but you do have a lot of equity in your home. Well, at least you are aware. You were wasting money. That's the number one thing that we talk about once people join the academy. I teach them, stop spending money. Stop. Let's go through your bank account, right? We go through your bank account. I'm all up in your business. Let's cancel that next Netflix subscription. Let's go ahead and cancel that Apple Music subscription. We're going to find out how we can get some free music, right? Commercial free. Let's cancel ordering off of Amazon every 3-4 days. Stop the Uber Eats, right? Stop the Amazon purchase, the consumption. The wasting of money is intentional. You are being forced into consumption so that you cannot create the fulfillment of your destiny. This is intentional, right? But it's easier to do when you've got a surrounding community of people holding you accountable. So these are the exact things we start with: the expat expense. I'm going through your budget to see where you need to cut back, where you can save, so that you can put that money towards your relocation and migration fund. Because not having financial responsibility is not cute. It's not cute. And you've got a lot of equity in your home. I mean, I would suggest that you take advantage of what that is for while it is there now, if you desire, because it is a risk. I'm not saying it's not a risk. I'm saying the risk is worth it if you're looking to achieve a reward. If you're happy with your current life and your quality of life and the way that you're living in your current country, by all means, stay there and thrive and flourish, okay? But if you are feeling like you don't fit in, the country is changing in a direction that you are not aligned with, there you don't really see the light at the end of the tunnel, your addiction to hope is wavering, then why are we holding on to things in an environment where we don't feel full, where we don't feel we are a part of the future, where we don't see ourselves in the vision of the future? That's what we need to be thinking about. What are we holding on to? A lot of my clients have done this, where they've held on to their properties, they've got their properties, right? They make their trip. They even invest. They end up selling that stuff off because they realize the back and forth is more detrimental to their health than just being where they are and investing in where they're building now, because the environment that allows them to build here is so much more fruitful than the environment that they've left back there. Nubian, I don't have time for a TikTok. I don't have time, my sis, but I appreciate it. There's plenty of folks sharing similar content on TikTok. I support them. But you're right. It's time to come back and build. The time is now. Community that is responsible and holds accountability based sufficient of success. Awesome. All right, guys. I don't see you guys have any questions. I hope you found this live valuable. We're closing the academy doors today. As we onboard some of our members as they're getting prepared to join us in the some people are preparing to join us in Durban, right? So I won't be in Durban actually, but some folks will be coming and extending their trips to Cape Town. Skyline, our attorney realty firm, will be taking people on tours here, as well as supporting them with due diligence, right? for the properties that they see, either in Durban or Johannesburg. I'm actually going to be heading back and doing some traveling between now and the September trip to Johannesburg. But if you want to join me on that trip, the link will be in the description. We'll be going through a lot of different strategy, a lot of the different things that we talk about in the academy. But for sure, the academy doors are closing today. So if you do have any questions before the doors close, be sure to leave them in the comments. Hopefully I will get to them before midnight, and support you along the way. I want to see you all win. Where is our lady here, Tamara, who has her hesitation of not knowing who to trust? I think it's so important to trust yourself, right? This is about you and you trusting yourself. And that's another one of the things that I feel like living in America really does a number on us, is we are so gaslit so often that we don't know who to trust because we don't trust ourselves. So if you got to pray on it, if you got to meditate on it, if you need to, do whatever, right? Your inability to trust is not going to translate into you being favored just because you weren't able to trust, right? That's one of the things that, is a determining factor in how we successfully have relationships, how we successfully build wealth, how we successfully grow in our business, how we successfully grow as women. We have to learn how to trust. And I'm not saying that that is an easy process. It's often because we were burned in the past and somebody took advantage of that trust. And the key to that is accepting the past, right? Being grateful for the lesson and the teachers that brought the lesson, right? Because you can't be grateful for the lesson and not the teacher. That is really the gateway into self-trust and knowing, okay, this feels right, right? And that might not happen probably overnight, and it may not happen by tonight, but I really want to invite you to do that work, because trust, self-trust is so key. And moving in fear based on fear of who to trust is a deeper issue that has nothing to do with Africa, right? It has nothing to do with you investing and building in Africa. That's a deeper issue that you are being invited to repair. So I say that with love and in full compassion, because it's common, right? And it's not something that you are experiencing alone and on your own, but it is something that you are being invited to heal and repair. And I really hope that you get that experience. I really hope that you get that experience. Jean says, you've been following my blogs on and off. What are the criteria to register for the academy? So let me go ahead and bring up the academy so you guys can see. Okay, can you guys see my screen? Okay, so perfect. So this is the video that you've already seen. So enrollment is now open. So, oh yeah, we've already got the ticker on. So the value of the academy is $32,750. I just want you to see the value that you're getting based on the price. To really focus on your question, the criteria is you are ready to take action on your Africa plans. All right, you're ready to take action. You know you desire to invest in Africa. You know you want to do business, but you may not know who to trust. You may not know where to go. You may not know what industry you want to do, but you want to get more familiar with the opportunities that exist. And you want to be in a community of like-minded people that are also doing the same things, learning, investing in themselves, investing in their process. They're purchasing real estate. They're starting businesses. Some people are just taking their first discovery trip. So you can be supported by people that are at your step in your journey or far before, like ahead of you, which is great. You always want to be around people that have surpassed you, right? Not people that are behind you where you're having to pull them along, but people that have surpassed you that are doing the thing that you're inspired to do. That's how you get momentum. Success loves speed. And so that's what you're going to get in this community. And everybody that's joined, right, they all started out with maybe like a 5-year plan. And most of them dwindle it down to 2 to 3 years, and some even under 2 years, because they get in an environment and an atmosphere of action. That's the number one thing. So you need to be ready to take action, and you need to be ready to be in community with other people that are doing the things that you want to do. Okay, so that's the criteria basically. And these are all of the added bonuses that are inside of the Academy. The Expat Expense Toolkit, that's what I talked about a little earlier. That's going to help you financially prepare. It's going to get you your budget of what you need to be spending in your new home country, and what you need to stop spending on, so that you can build the financial discipline. Because just because the cost of living is less this side, you need to know what and how to spend your money, because you can easily get very comfortable in saying, oh, this is inexpensive. Oh, this is so cheap. And in fact, it will put you in a worse position because you won't be spending properly. So you're going to get your finances in order right now before you even look at an airplane ticket. But even more than that, a lot of people don't talk about what happens if a premature death or disability were to happen and you're abroad, right? I'm a single mom of 2 children. And so I made sure early on in my life that I was able to acquire the disability insurance, death insurance, right? What is it? Life insurance, life insurance, right? So that in the event of a premature death, my children are taken care of. A will and testament, like last will and testament. So I'm abroad. My children will know where to find those documents. They know what the documents say. They know where the finances will go. They know the people that they're meant to contact and the people that they will go to in the event that I'm gone. These are the things that we aren't really thinking about. And those are the things that give us anxiety. But imagine having somebody already work that out for you, so you then have the financial confidence to take the next step. That was one of the first courses that I created, and I'm so proud of. That's also in the Academy. And then all of the things you need to do before you leave your home country, if you want to start a business, which I recommend everyone do, because there are tax advantages to doing that. And also, it's just a great idea to have a business abroad. That's really how you become desirable to countries, because you're showing economic investment. And that's how you gain your long-term residency a bit faster than if you're looking for a work permit and, right? So I teach people how they can get access to funding, access to credit, all of that stuff inside the business prep guide. You can continue to read all of the bonuses, but everything, including the curriculum, is valued at over $32,000. Okay. And if you decide that you want to pay in full, you would get a VIP strategy session with me. We actually call it the EIP because it's an executive investor program that we are working on now, where we're doing your 90-day plans to make sure that you're hitting your goals in an accelerated way. And so you can start off really small by investing $369 a month, right? It's billed monthly. You can cancel at any time. So that you can join the community and take it at your pace, right? But if you do decide that you are committed to making this move seriously for yourself and your family, you're investing and you're building global legacy. You're not waiting around for the next inflationary moment or the next collapse. You're saying, you know what? I see the writing on the wall. I'm going to take action for a huge value. You can make the one-time investment of just under $2,000, saving you, I think, $2,000, right? You save $2,400 if you make that one-time investment of $19.98. So those are the prices. This is what you get inside the Academy. The only qualifications is that you come ready to take action. You come ready to learn. You come ready to grow. You come ready to be curious. You come ready to hear, right? And listen. and contribute. Once you realize that you are ready to maybe ask questions, maybe to share, this is not a therapy circle, but we do talk about things that are happening and why people are taking action. So one of our members, her daughter went to prom this year, and on the way to prom, one of her classmates was killed in a mass shooting at a garage at a gas station on the way to prom, right? This happened a few months ago. We had a call the next day, and she was talking about how her daughter was just so distraught. And I was like, of course she would be. Absolutely. This is not normal. Children are not meant to have these experiences. But it was her being able to join a community of people the following day that this happened to restore her faith and the action she's taking and saying, this is exactly why I'm making a move to build my business in South Africa and relocate myself and my family there. Right. And so these are the type of conversations that we have. It's not all business. A lot of it is personal growth and development. But at the core, we are coming with an intention to build better lives for ourselves and the community of people in the new country we desire to live in. And that's the requirement, right? That's simply the requirement. You can continue to read. If you have any other questions, there's tons of, frequently asked questions on the website for people that want to know what's the difference between, the free content and the content that you share. You'll see kind of the community, the things that we talk about inside of the academy, what's included. This is an image from our Zanzibar Investor Summit last year. We'll probably be moving that to Mauritius next year, but we will still be in Zanzibar this year. Here are some success stories. You got to see those at the top, but here are some other success stories, as well as tons of other screenshots from the community there. So you can see what the members are saying about their experience, right? And people asking, oh, what's the success rate? Well, you can see, let the members share their results with you. We've got people that have opened their hotels, they've opened their Airbnbs, they've gotten their residency permits, they've started, adventure tourism companies, and they've all come through the academy with the support of not just me, right? The team of vetted experts and advisors that I've also shared with them. All right. So let me see, you guys have any more questions? Are investors buying property with crypto? Absolutely. That we do. We actually had a client purchase some property. No, they inquired about it. So we're actually going through a due diligence process with a client that wants to purchase some property here in South Africa, in Cape Town, using crypto. So yes, that is happening. You're welcome, Tamara. Hope that you receive that with love. Amazing, amazing, amazing. I hope that was helpful, Jean, and you got some clarity there. Wonderful. Well, we're hitting at about an hour already. So I'm super happy to welcome in our new incoming class of the Africa Investors Academy. If you want to be in that incoming cohort, be sure to invest in yourself and your Africa vision before the doors close at midnight. All right, guys. So until the next video, I will see you soon.